I'm the kid of one of those traveling RV families online, and I hate them for it every day. My parents decided when I was only around 7 years old, far too young to have any say in the matter, to pack us up and move into an RV to travel around the US. My dad works online and my mom creates content online. She's not huge by any means, but she's big enough that we sometimes get recognized, and big enough that I've had a camera shoved in my face for as long as I can remember. For my privacy's sake, I won't say anything else on that, and I'm using a throwaway account because I've gotten enough attention already and I'm sick of it. I sleep in a tiny bunk bed that I outgrew years ago, and the other bunk is the only space I have to put anything I own. I don't even have a room, just a curtain, and thank God I'm an only child. Otherwise, I'd have to share what little space I already have. I was homeschooled for most of my education, then switched to online school at my insistence for high school. I'm an 18-year-old girl with no friends in person because the longest I've ever stayed in one place is a month. I don't have a job or any way to get one because we're never in one place long enough, unless I find one online, which also means I have no way to move out and get away from them. I've had countless conversations with my parents about all of this, but they are so delusional and genuinely believe that a nomadic existence is the best way to live. So why would I need anything else? I hate them for treating me like some pet they can just drag along in their plans rather than their child. I hate traveling, don't like heat, hate dealing with bugs, and I'm so sick of hiking. I can't wait for the day I finally figure out a way to get away from them, their morning hikes, and the cameras in my face. Sure, I've traveled around the US, but God forbid I want to have a normal life, go to college, or maybe even make some friends. That's asking too much. Some of OOP's comments. Commenter 1. I can't even imagine how lonely that must be. Do you have any other family you could go stay with? OOP. Not that I know of, unfortunately. My current plan is to try to find some sort of online income and save up so I can get an apartment. I'm also talking with someone I've known online for a long time about maybe being roommates to help us both with costs. Commenter 2. Going to college is perhaps the easiest way out, but maybe not the cheapest. However, certainly a good step forward, for multiple reasons. OOP. I'm definitely looking into it, but I'm worried because the way I was homeschooled left me very behind academically. I struggled a lot in high school and was just happy to get into an actual online high school program rather than more homeschooling. Commenter 3. Ironically, if you were to start creating content about getting away from your hipster parents, you'd probably gain a lot of attention. OOP. Honestly, I've considered it just to spread awareness, but it didn't seem like a smart idea for a few reasons. Firstly, it doesn't seem like a long-term solution. I don't think the content would stay interesting once my story is told. There's only so much you can say before it gets repetitive. Plus, I'd need to be stable enough to feel comfortable talking about it and have an escape plan if things went sideways. More importantly, I've had my life plastered on the internet from such a young age that I don't want to give up the one aspect of my life that hasn't been shared publicly. Update post, September 19th, 2024, 9 days later. Hello, barely over a week ago, I made a post about my very negative experience living in an RV with my parents for around 10 years. Despite it being such a short time since that post, a lot has changed for me. I'm not sure how many people would be interested in an update on my situation, but I know quite a few people were very concerned and would probably appreciate it, so here it is. Also, fair warning, this is a fairly lengthy post. I tend to ramble, so there's a sort of TLDR at the end. I received a lot of really helpful advice, resources, and even offers of personal help, some questionable, admittedly, but the majority genuinely concerned and wanting to help, and I very much appreciate that. It was a bit overwhelming, honestly, and I ended up not responding to a lot of people, so please forgive me for that. Even if I didn't respond much, I've been researching a lot of the information people gave me. Something that stood out was people asking if I had any family I could stay with, to which I had to respond, not that I know of, because I don't have anyone on my dad's side, and my mom has strictly no contact with her family. I didn't know if they were alive, if they cut her off, or if she cut them off, and my mom never wanted to talk about it. The only information I had was my mom's maiden name, which is pretty uncommon, and where she was born, which I've come to realize can get you surprisingly far in finding family. I've always had a slight hatred for the internet because I never had any choice about my life being public knowledge, and I know that once something is out there, it's out there. But for the first time, I'm actually really grateful for the internet. I was able to find some information on my mom's side of the family and specifically found my grandma's Facebook account, though it took some effort. After a lot of stress over whether to message her and potential outcomes, I messaged her, explaining my mom's life, who I was, and my situation. I won't go into details about why my grandma and mom are no contact because that isn't my story to share, but my grandma was appalled to find out she had a granddaughter she didn't know about, and even more so by the way her daughter raised me. I found out I have an aunt and uncle, both of whom my grandma told about me and my situation. I've been in pretty much constant contact with all of them since then, learning about each other, and they all want to help me get out of this living situation with my parents. Luckily, with me being 18, it's actually possible. Without going into too much detail, I have plans to go stay with my aunt, who lives in a big city on the West Coast with many opportunities for me to start college or whatever else I choose, which I'm happy to announce I plan on doing. My uncle has kids, but my aunt lives alone and has a spare bedroom, which she has no problem letting me stay in for as long as necessary. I have a train ticket scheduled and purchased by my aunt, and enough money to get to the station. I'm talking with my family, still feels weird to type, and trying to plan out the details of how or if I'm going to tell my parents. My mom doesn't know where any of her family lives, so even if I told my parents who I'm going to live with, they wouldn't know specifically where I was. Someone suggested leaving a note or some proof that I left willingly, so if I opt out of a conversation, I'm planning on either leaving a note or filming a video explaining my plans and why I'm leaving, which would be kind of ironic, wouldn't it? As for my mom filming, I've been quiet around my parents, refusing to talk when the camera is on, but neither of them has mentioned it so far. Also, speaking of my mom's content, I want to emphasize something quickly. Almost everyone was genuinely trying to help, but a few people tried to guess who I was. Thankfully, they got downvoted and ended up deleting their comments. Some people even messaged me privately trying to figure out who I am. While I understand the curiosity, I posted anonymously with minimal personal information for a reason. I have had enough attention and am very sick of it. I'd appreciate it if you could respect that. Even if you think you know who I am, please don't make public guesses, and understand that I don't want even more public information tied to my name. Very long story short, I have set plans to leave and a safe place to go with my aunt once I do, and I appreciate everyone who is so willing to help. If you told me not even 2 weeks ago that I'd not only have a plan to move away from my parents, but would also be in contact with family members I didn't know existed, I wouldn't have believed it. I'm not planning to make another post, but I wanted to let anyone who is concerned about me know not to worry, and I genuinely thank you. Some of OOP's comments. Commenter 4. Be careful. You don't really know your mom's family. I know it seems like an out. Just be careful. OOP. I absolutely will be. Why my mom isn't in contact with them makes total sense, and none of it was their fault, plus they were able to send me evidence of that. But despite that, I definitely don't know them personally yet. My train out isn't scheduled immediately or anything, and I'm going to continue talking with them until then, but they do seem to be genuinely concerned and trustworthy. Plus, my aunt who I'll be staying with seems super nice, and we have already figured out that we have certain things in common. To the same commenter a bit later. OOP. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier, as I said in the post, I'm planning on going to college, because that's a more obtainable option for me now. And I'm hoping to figure out living in dorms, so realistically, I won't be staying with my aunt for that long once I work that out. Commenter 5. You can't really know they're being truthful. You should ask your mother why she stopped communicating with them without telling her you started, and get her side of the story. OOP. My mom 100% refuses to talk about her family. That's the reason I didn't have any contact with them in the first place and didn't even know about my aunt and uncle. But I'm confident they're being truthful about it because I was literally shown proof, and some of it was literally court-ordered. Commenter 6. I do not recommend making a video. Your parents will use it for content. Write a note at most, keep it simple though. OOP. I realistically don't plan on filming a video. I think I was just feeling petty and upset thinking about it all, which just lead to thinking about drastic ideas of what I should do for telling my parents. Video definitely isn't a good idea if I don't just tell them myself. To a downvoted commenter. OOP. Question: have you ever seen the Harry Potter movie scene where his room is the under the stairs and thought to yourself, wow, he actually has enough room to sit up in bed and a door? I have multiple times actually. I'm very willing to abandon them to not have to feel like that anymore. Commenter 7. Haha, great analogy. Listen, could you do me a favor, please? Whatever the name of the town you're going to, call the local police or sheriff station on a non-emergency number, ask for the community liaison officer, and then briefly introduce yourself. Explain that you are 18, leaving a family situation which is not healthy, and going to stay with a relative you have not previously met. Give the officer your contact info and tell him or her that you just want somebody that you trust to know where you are and to please give you a wellness check in a couple of weeks, and that you will stop in, and let them know how you are a couple of weeks following that. Agree on 2 innocent code words for your wellness/future conversations. One which, when dropped into conversation means something is wrong, please get me out of here, and the other which means everything is just fine at present. Does this sound comfortable for you? OOP. That's a really good idea, actually, thank you. Editor's note. OOP indicated that she doesn't plan to update again, but I'm leaving this as ongoing because I hope she at least comments that she's safe.